Hello, this is Mrs. Neubauer, and let's work on our penmanship. So, what happens once in a minute, twice in a moment, and never in 1,000 years? The letter M. These literal jokes are the best, aren't they? Okay, so lesson goal number 23. It's our actually last practice lesson. Is to write words without lines. So we're not having any lines now. So this is the most advanced we can possibly do for the class. So hopefully the last 2 lessons were a struggle. You made it through it. It might have took you a few days because I gave you a lot to do. And you started without using that dash line. You started then the next lesson was having to have a little ceiling, a little space in your lines on line paper. And then the last lesson was to have open air. So now we're having our letters almost float in the air because we're going to have no lines. So I have a little practice here on my whiteboard. So it's how I've been actually writing on the whiteboard for our lessons. This is how I have learned how to write. So we don't have any lines this time. We're going to just start with our first letter. So as long as you have a good, strong first letter, could be uppercase, could be lowercase, you can work from there. So remember when you do your H, you do your first line, and then the second stroke is a halfway point. So once you have a good foundation, you'll be able to do your next letter, because all you're worried about is just working one letter to one letter. You don't worry about writing horse right away. So we have our H. The top of the H helps us with our O. The top of the O helps us with our R, the top of the R helps us with our S, and the top of the S helps us with our E. And we try to stay within the same. And it's kind of impossible to write completely on a line because we're hands, we're just people, we're not computers. So we're doing the best we can. And I'm probably making it look easy because I've done this a lot more than you, and I teach it too. So I did a harder word. So horse seemed kind of easy. So jaguar is definitely more challenging because the J starts in the middle and then it goes underneath. So you know that your A is going to be the top of your J, but there's no baseline for J. Remember, J goes underneath our baseline or bottom. So we have our A. So that actually would be the first letter to establish your word. The J is just there for, help. But so A, and then we have our G. And then G also goes down underneath like your J, or sunder as we call it. So the top of the G helps your U, the top of the U helps your A, the top of the A helps your R. And that's pretty good for writing on the air. So that's what we're going to practice today. So if you're not to this level yet, you might want to go back and, make sure you're at the other 2 levels before the advanced levels. But I'm hoping you can try this by the end of our class. Okay. I'm going to switch cameras and we'll get started. Okay, so you should have number 23, plain paper known line practice. So we're going to trace the numbers, symbols, and words on each line and then try it next to it. So if you're still needing to trace, that's fine. You can trace, let's start with number 1, and then we're going to write it next to it, number 1. Same thing for ask. Don't have a baseline. So trace your A. It's going to be feeling a little uncomfortable again because remember when we took away that dash line we were uncomfortable, and then we took away the top line on the line paper. So each time it's a little new, it might be a little uncomfortable. Okay, so then we have to try A on your own. So remember the first letter establishes the whole line. So just as long as you have a good first letter, you can work with your next letter. So remember the top of the S, it goes down a little bit, it hits the top, and it goes curves around, and then it hits the bottom. So you have to imagine now a bottom and a top. A K is double, so I'm gonna have to guesstimate. Guesstimate means estimate, guessing, estimate put together, guesstimate, and then I do my K. Oh wow, that was really hard. I bet that was hard for you guys too. I wish I could see you. Let's try pets. Try pet next to it. So just like we did, let's trace over it. Got our P, and that's nice because that means we know the top and the bottom. So E, I'm going to go back up to the top, come back down, my crossbar first for my T, and then I come down with my vertical line. So let's practice that on our own. So I start with my P, and then about half the space. Sometimes it's smaller at the bottom, but that's okay, just as long as you know it's a P. You go too short, it won't look like a letter at all because we don't have a letter like that. A's the other side. Okay, so my E has to go to the top of the P. I have to start in the middle, do it over, and then do my almost circle. And then once I got my E, I can do my T. So once you have a good first letter, you have a good foundation. So this is definitely more challenging. So you're going to work through the letters. I did 3-letter words just because it's more challenging. And then I did capitalized 3-letter words too. So you have plenty to choose from. I'm trying to see, maybe we can try a capital one, which might be a little challenging. Oh, right, I see ink. Ink doesn't have the middle, so let's try that one. So ink. So we're going to start with our capital I, where that goes in the middle, and then the bottom. I'm going to do the same as the top horizontal. Good. So there's no middle, so I have to kind of estimate where my N is going to start. And then I go down a little bit, come up to that, and then I come down. So I want to be a nice imaginary baseline, nice top line. Okay, so my K is going to go to the top. I got to have a little space here. Be careful of the space. Start in the middle and go up to that imaginary dash line and to the bottom. Okay, trying to look through here. Let's try jab. That one is like jaguar from our example. That looks a little challenging. So I'm trying the challenging one with you so you can do hopefully the ones on your own all by yourself. Okay, so first of all, I think let's just trace over jab. So we're going underneath, little curve, dot at the top. So the top of my A is going to be the top of my J. And I have my B is going to be double that A. And I want to stop at the bottom, and then my B again. All right, this seems kind of challenging more than the ink was. So let's try it. Okay, we have to have a good foundation. So start with your J. Oh, wow, it's weird without lines, isn't it? There's not a lot of J's in letters, so I don't know how many times you actually got to practice your lowercase j. Okay, so remember there's an imaginary baseline. Don't go all the way down for your A. The top is at that part, the middle part. All right, A has a circle, horizontal line. And your B is double. Yes, this is definitely a challenging word. So if you got this down, you are amazing. Penmanship is at a whole new level. Okay, let's see. What's another harder word? I'm trying to look through them. How about cat? Let's try cat. Do a few more together. So let's just try cat. Your capital C, there's no middle, so you kind of have to estimate for your A. Okay, and then your T. Good. Okay, let's try it on our own. So first of all, you have to have a good first letter. So once your good first letter's down, you're good to go. Estimate the middle, you have your A. Make sure you're keeping to that same bottom of your C, the bottom of the A, and then the T. T goes over, and then in the middle is the second stroke or letter stem. Okay, I think we're doing pretty good on this. Hopefully it's not too challenging for you and you like the challenge. I always like to be challenged by my penmanship, so this is definitely challenging me too. Okay, so the goal for this is to continue to practice as many as you can, and after a while you're going to be like, this isn't so hard after all. Okay, so if they're not exactly the same size, that's okay. If they're a little bigger, you just have to be careful because you have more above you and below you. So continue to practice. Okay, so that was our last lesson. Doing plain paper, no line practice is the ultimate of the P is for penmanship. It's most advanced, advanced. You're writing on air, as we say. So you're remembering all of your letters and what they mean and how they help each other out. So I really feel like we got started on our lesson goal. You're going to continue to do that at home. So you're going to continue to write those words and the best you can. And I also included, I forgot to show you on the overhead, a super plain sheet, so you could use your own alphabet and try them without mine next to it, because kind of having mine next to it as a line already. So that would be the ultimate, is to try this without. So if you want to do advanced, this is advanced. All right, well, it's been great having these lessons, and keep practicing. And remember, it's all about progress and not perfection.